Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to show you guys what I had to do to my 2017 F250 to install auxiliary upfitter switches. The truck is a Lariat, but it just didn't have those options from the factory. I honestly didn't really think I needed them, but it wasn't too long after I had it, I realized that I could use them. So I started at the dealership, and the first thing they told me was that if they weren't installed when the truck was built, it was impossible to add them to an existing truck. I found out later the reason for that was the actual wiring harness under the hood. It kind of routed under the motor and from one side to the other, and it was just impossible to get that harness where it went in the OEM locations. However, it is possible. So I did a little research and found the parts I needed. So let's go ahead inside the truck and I'll kind of show you what's going on in there. Alright, so here in the truck you can see the overhead console with the upfitter switches. Like I said, when I originally got it, the truck didn't have that option, so it was actually a different overhead console. Same thing, just minus the switches. So the first thing I had to do was buy that console. And after doing research, I learned there's actually an extra wire harness up there that corresponds to that console. The wire harness plugs into the switches, kind of goes up under the headliner, and you pull the cover off the A-pillar there. There was actually a plug with a blind end on it. So these trucks are set up from the factory wired with all the options. So if something's not there, it's just not plugged in. All I had to do here in the interior was just replace the console with the switches, add the new harness, route it over here, and plug it in underneath the A-pillar cover. Then after that, everything else was out under the hood. Let's go take a look. Okay, so out here under the hood, there was actually only two more parts to make this whole thing work. The next part, it's right down here. It's a relay box and a fuse box to make that system work. So that box actually has the needed relays and the fuses. So how it works is you connect any accessory to wires that are coming out of this box. Here's one of the wires. I'm not sure which one this goes to with all the accessories I have on there. Now the wires coming out of this box are labeled, so it tells you which switch they correspond with up inside the cab. So this box itself plugs into another wire that was existing on the truck that wasn't used. How I got to that, underneath the wheel well here. So that was the worst part of this whole project, was just trying to get up under this wheel liner to access that plug. So once I was able to get to it, pulled it free, pulled it out up here, plugged this box in. And then the final step of the whole thing was the actual power, connecting this box to the power of the truck. So like I mentioned before, the wire itself was designed to go up underneath the motor, and there was just no way to make that happen. The harness had clips to correspond with different parts in the truck to secure it in nice, but again, I wasn't able to install it in the OEM location. So I routed it, I believe, it's been quite a few years since I did this, but I routed it, I believe, up underneath the fender here, down around across the front of the radiator. The cover on the radiator is easily enough removed. It's just got push clips, pulls right off. I zip tied it across where it just wouldn't interfere with anything. No moving parts, no sharp edges. After that, I got over to this side of the motor, was able to take it up between the battery and the engine here, past the air box, and there's a fuse box down here, second fuse box. And if you pull all this off, there's a lug on there that's not used. It's just a power lug. I believe that's what it's there for, is to connect this relay system. I was able to just connect right to that, and the system was powered up. After that, all I had to do was connect the accessories to each corresponding wire, turn the switches on inside the cab, and I had accessories. And so a lot of the accessories that you get, especially if you're doing off-road lights, they do come with their own wiring harnesses with relays, the whole kit. However, you start doing something like that, you have a dash full of all these mismatched switches. Just to be able to have that option for a OEM mount switch, kind of blends in real nice in there, just seemed like the way to go. What I ended up doing with my accessories, just kind of adding some off-road lights. I have some small lights here in the grill, some yellow lights down here in the bumper, like a combo yellow white light here. Kind of all works real good. Like I said, easy enough. You connect them down here, ground them outside somewhere to the frame or the battery, and then it's just a matter of connecting the one power wire to this relay box. And going around the truck on the back, I do have an auxiliary fuel tank. That's actually wired in to one of the switches as well. And then finally I have some reverse lights that are back here in the bumper. So kind of help with backing up and camping and stuff. You can turn those on, have extra light back here, works out real nice. All right, so again, the whole purpose of this is just to show you guys that it can be done. You know, they told me years ago that it was impossible to do, and I just didn't take no for an answer. You know, it's been so long, it's been a good 8 years since I've done this, so I don't really have any of the part information or links or anything like that. But if it's something you'd be interested in doing, you just, first and foremost, just don't buy the stuff from the dealership. There are Ford websites online that you can get OEM parts significantly cheaper, and that's exactly what I did years ago. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say everything cost me about $500-600 way back then. I still feel like that's a much better option than drilling a bunch of holes in the dash and mounting some kind of aftermarket switch setup, or using the 3M sticky tape that comes with those individual switches and have them stuck all over your dash. So I hope this could possibly help somebody. You know, now 8 years or so after these trucks have come out, I'm sure there's quite a bit of used ones out there now. You know, maybe you got one and doesn't have the upfitters, and you know, you want to add something to it. Lights, winch, the auxiliary fuel tank, snow plow, off-road lights, driving lights, emergency lights, whatever. I just want to show everybody that, yeah, you can do it no matter what the Ford dealership says. All right, guys, well, thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.